Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Is it is Tuesday today. Lost track of the days. That definitely felt like a long Monday to me. I don't know about you guys, but that felt like a very long Monday. Just seems like so much shit happened in the last 24 hours since we did this, especially in crypto. I mean, we'll start with stocks because it's kind of boring, and then we'll move on to crypto. But yeah, crypto's been fucking active. Like, stuff on chain is just flying all over the place, isn't it? You know, like, you see something before you go to bed, you wake up, it's up 500%. It's that kind of no sleep market. Am I working, by the way? I think I am. I think I should be streaming all good. Let me know if you guys are seeing a delay or anything, but I think it's all good. Okay, let's do the usual. Let's have a look at some charts. Have a chat about what I'm thinking today. Stop. Where is this screen coming from? That's this one here. Okay, found it. Yeah, I mean, this stonk thing moved big last night. Okay, trading view. Markets quiet. I think we're just going to be quiet until, barely any move in the S&P 500, barely any move in the Nasdaq. Rates are higher. Rates were high yesterday. I think they've come back a little bit today, but look at this 30-year. Just up only year to date. Year to date highs, at 1 year highs, at 5 year highs, at 10 year highs. Not quite at all time highs. All time highs, where do we have to go back to? Around 2003, 2004 era. .com bubble? When did the .com bubble burst? When did the .com? 2000. Okay, so not quite. Oh, where was 10 year? Where was 30 in 2000? Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's gone down there. Anyway, look, at the end of the day, rates have been up only since 2020. Stocks have been up only since 2020. Crypto has been up only since 2020. So rates going higher doesn't just mean game over. I think that's a mistake to make. But look at fucking stocks since 2020. That's a mental move. That is honestly mental. Nasdaq was 8,000 in 2020, and now it's almost 30K. Like, when you just step back and just think about how mental that is, the Nasdaq has done fucking almost 4x, 3.5x since COVID. Since COVID lows, like, you could have put all your money. I mean, not that everyone had the guts to do that, but you really could have just. What's going on here? You really could just put in a ton of money into it and just, unlike, it's, I get it. You might be like, oh, Bitcoin is up way more and all this other shite is up way more, but like these are stocks. These don't. The Nasdaq doesn't go to zero, right? It's not even a single stock. It's an entire index of tech stocks. This doesn't go to zero. This will never go to zero. Actually, generally speaking, this will always go higher. So to make such a crazy amount in that period of time is honestly, man, just looking at this chart is fucking mental. It is absolutely mental looking at this chart. Like, what happens from here just keeps going up. I don't know. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah, point being, rates have been up only since 2020, but so have stocks, so have risk assets. But I just think a little bit, what I would love to see, and I guess the playbook for me on macro, at least anyway, is a hike in what I'd love to see actually is, and I'm a bit more biased in saying this because I'm flat stocks right now, but I'd love to see a bad inflation number tomorrow. And then I would love to see a rate hike in September. And I would like to see everything just nuke a little bit in stocks. And then I would like to buy there. And then I would like to see everything go swiftly back to all-time highs for the end of the year. That's what I would love to see. Now, typically, when you're trying to make these plays, they never really go the way you want them to go. And I doubt it will go the way I want it to go. But that's why I think I need to start DCAing in a little bit earlier if things start to sell off. But yeah, I would love to see that. Anyway, nothing really to add on stocks. I mean, keeping an eye on these memory names. Unchanged today. SanDisk is up a little bit. Micron's unchanged. SK Hynix unchanged. You know, the vol in these names has come out dramatically too. Nebius reports earnings today or tomorrow. Small's bid into numbers, huh? Where do I see that? I need to go into the. I need to go into the big chart thing. Full chart. That's on Wednesday, tomorrow after market close. Wonder if I take a punt into that. Just a little gamble, small position. Don't know, probably not. Just don't really know what I could do. Like all the memory names, when they've had good numbers, they get sold down quite aggressively. But I wonder if is it a different story for the neo clouds? I don't really know. I really don't know. Okay, so let's move on to speaking about crypto. Movers. I'm switching to Gecko Terminal for stuff. This works way better than. Okay, so this thing up 400%, up 400%. So it sounds like, and I could be wrong on this, but it sounds like when something graduates from the stockbroker's launchpad, up is sort of like I guess it's just DEX. I guess it's a DEX on Robinhood, but they have a vote escrow 3.3 model based on Velodrome V2 and Slipstream architecture. I would be lying if I could tell you exactly what that means. I guess should we do a little Claude thing? Let me do this. Let me copy that. Let me do a new chat in Claude. Does this come up? Yes, it does. Boom. Explain this in really simple English as if I am done. But it sounds like there's some sort of 3.3 style benefit to LPing. For example, if you LP on Aerodrome on Base, I think they have token incentives that can be granted by the LP creator, or even the token launcher. So here we go. What is up? It's a crypto exchange where people swap tokens with each other. There's no company, blah, blah, automated by code. Yes, we get a decentralized exchange. It can never be changed by anyone. Yes, I know what immutable means. Runs Robinhood, fine. How they work, regular people, okay, I get that. Up is the reward token the exchange prints and hands out to people who deposit into the pots. So, yeah, okay. So basically you can get the token, which you then stake, which gives you voting rights. You have this thing called V-Up, which gives you voting rights. You vote which pots get the freshly printed up reward. So this thing, I guess it has a very small. By the way, these guys sent me a DM on X the other day. I should probably have them on it to explain it. I'll get back to you guys on DM. But it sounds like because as you guys will see, the floating market cap of this is tiny. I think it's let's see, what does it say? $7 million market cap, but the FDV is something crazy high, $200 million FDV. So it sounds like this up token gets handed out to pots of liquidity, which I guess is maybe the LPs, and then the voters get to decide which pots get the rewards. If you vote for a pot, you get a share of all the trading fees and that pot earns, plus any bribes. The whole loop in one breath. Yeah, okay. Kind of an interesting model, really. But yeah, it sounds like, so these guys have partnered with stockbrokers who, let me see if my X works. From what I read, it sounds like, or maybe Clutch Markets was the actual account. It sounds like when something graduates, instead of going to Uniswap, it will go to Up Markets. So here, let me take off Claude. Up will now power the exchange layer for stockbrokers. So the stock exchange which will run Up. Yeah. So this is all going to happen on Up now rather than. So this is good. I mean, this is bullish for Up because you can see now there's going to be a ton of activity and liquidity into this market. I guess they've now got an Up stockbroker pair. So it kind of explains why this is up so much. I mean, it's up so much because it has a very low float, I guess, and that float will come out over time as rewards are paid. But that was an interesting one. I saw this last night. I think last night it was about this price, and I actually tried to swap some ponds into it, like 10 grand of the position, and it just didn't work. And then I went to bed, and then I woke up and it's up. I mean, it was up over 3x from where I tried to do that earlier. So that's great. Just this is definitely the market. This is how you can tell we have the signs of this sort of early bull market vibes, right? When you see something and you don't act on it, and then you wake up the next day and it's up like 3x or 4x, and you just think, fuck, I should have bought that, and I didn't. And I think a lot of you guys in our Discord did. I think a lot of you guys are up overnight on that. It's a good trade from people who are. But yeah, it just there are so many opportunities like these. Now, what else moved yesterday? You had so this Manlet coin moved yesterday. I'm not really involved in the Anthem ecosystem. My ecosystem feels like the right way to describe it. It sounded like they want to endorse this or something, and then this was launched on something called Stonk on Solana. Stonk.pump. Oh, that's a ton, wrong one. Stonk Fun, isn't it? Yeah. And this basically is a launchpad that allows you to pair something with anything, really. So there are a few meme coins on that. There's Butthole, which is paired with Anthropic stock, because the Anthropic logo looks like a butthole. There's all these types of sorts of things, which I think is novel, but yeah, that's not a big volume number. Maybe this is only one LP. I don't know. You have to. I did get Claude to look at see if I can find it. The fees on this one and the revenues that it's generating are quite low compared to what Pons is, and I think the percentage that goes to buyback is a lot lower as well. Like Pons is 80%. I think these guys are putting 60% to buyback. So, yeah, I had a look at it and I thought it wasn't really one for me to buy. Definitely interesting. It's sort of like the Solana version of the RWA narrative that's happening on Robinhood, but I feel like the Robinhood coins are better on this one. I'm hesitant to touch Solana stuff. I don't even really have any money on Solana right now. I'm hesitant because I just think that it's such a saturated market, you know. All these pump fun lads are on it. All these FOMO lads are on it. They've been trading Sol coins for a long time. most of these guys, many of these guys are not in Robinhood, or at least they're not deep in the Robinhood trenches like I feel like our community is. And we talked about having an edge yesterday. I just think there's more of an edge on Robinhood. So my hurdle to put money into something on Solana is very, very high, and I think I'm generally just going to probably try to avoid it unless there's a good reason to do it. Unless you happen to be at the right place at the right time and catch something early and can do it. But for now, I'm sort of chilled on Solana. What else? What else is moving? Ponds keeps going. Pretty nice chart on Ponds here. Wow, it feels like. Remember, it was just down here a few days ago, right? And we were all just shitting ourselves, and luckily I held on. I mean, I did swap a little bit for Chowder, which has not been the right trade, as Chowder has dropped 50%, while this is up 3x from there. That is very annoying, but no, it's really recovered, and that's even despite that guy, putting in 500k and then selling 500k, and then we've even bounced above his entry and exit levels, which is good to see as well. So, but look, this is just one where I think the numbers speak for themselves, and if I can get this to load, nice little day today, up 50k. Revenues, where's there, 146k of protocol revenue in the last 24 hours. It just keeps going higher. Interestingly, the market share yesterday in the last 24 hours is lower than the day before, but the revenue number is higher. So it goes to show that the pie is growing. The pie is growing, and the revenues can still increase even if it loses a bit of market share, which is very bullish, I think. I mean, obviously, it's even more bullish if the revenue grows and the market share grows, but this is going to hover around. This is just a 24-hour number. And this is good too, I think, because it doesn't have the highest share of launches in the last 7 days. Maybe in the last 24 hours, it's 43%, so it's a bit higher in the last 24 hours, but this maybe takes some pre-V2 numbers into account. But at the end of the day, you need to have coins that are running on Ponds or running on the Launchpad to generate those revenues. And there's been a few of them now, right? There's been Mkts. Well, I really should have bought this. Tabs flagged this to me like here, and I just didn't touch it because I don't really want to touch memes. But obviously, the two memes that I bought aren't quite doing the same thing. I'm a boss cat. If we're talking about the cat world, I'm a boss cat maxi. I'm not a Mkat maxi. But yeah, this is on Ponds. I'm a supporter of every coin on Ponds though. But there's some Ponds, only $1 million in volume in the last 24 hours, but it's at 9 million market cap. Like that's doing well. There was another coin that was on Ponds. People were talking about. How's that crime coin doing? What was that crime coin? Nova AI. This is still this feels like it's about to get crimed more, but that's there. Wasn't there something else that was launched here recently? I don't know. Trending. Let's do chains. Robinhood. Market cap. What is this? What is Dogo? This is kind of crazy. You look at this. Let's just remove that. This is Robinhood chain. These are all the coins. Like these are. I do think and I do believe in a few months' time, this will look crazy, and people will be like, "Oh, you could have just bought these coins at these levels and you didn't do it." Motion is on Ponds, right? Am I right in saying that? This seems to be doing quite well. Just under $1 million in volume, not crazy. But you see, if you're bullish on the ecosystem, these numbers go up a lot, right? 1 million becomes 10 million. 10 10 million becomes 100 million, 100 million becomes a billion. Like, all these numbers go up, and this has to be a beneficiary for me. Ponds has to be a beneficiary, and it sort of is beating away the bosses. You know, the bosses of trying to vamp it, competitors. Uniswap was a big one. It's really trounced Uniswap, which I do like to see given the behavior, but just a 4.7% market share for Uniswap. I mean, it's even below Cashcat now. Just 4.7% in the last 24 hours of fees. Launches, they're higher. Launches, they are... I don't quite have that. 24. Oh, yeah. 14% of launches. But even that's not that high, really, is it? You know, considering Ponds dropped by like 70% because of this launch, it's really not... it's really not that high, is it? So... it's, you know, it's really, I guess the final boss is Pump Fun, isn't it? If Pump Fun launches on Robinhood, it's more a question of when, not if. I would imagine if they're going head to head with FOMO, and FOMO is on all these other chains. Does FOMO launch a launch pad, and does Pump Fun launch on Robinhood and add more chains? You would think it happens eventually, and then it becomes a question of if they can make a big dent in the market share or not, which they may well do. I think Pump Fund has a higher chance of doing that than Uniswap, but the longer it takes to launch, the more Ponds grows, I think, and the more the token gets burnt. I mean, how much has been burnt now? I think we're up to almost 27%. There's a really good tweet on it. Who was it? It was, yeah, this is a good tweet, calculating valuation. Oh no, sorry. This is the one that says the actual revenues were higher. This guy has it at 190k rather than 140k, which is good. But he also, where is it? Sent out a tweet on. Okay, I can't find it. Great. Pretty sure it was this guy. Oh, he said it was 142k. Here's something on expected revenues he calculated. Here we go. This is worth a read. This is worth a read to run the numbers, I think, on expected revenues. But he thinks that this is the wrong number, this multiple, which is what we've been talking about. And he thinks it should be about 4 to 5 times higher, which I agree with. So, you know, we've spoken about this thesis many times, but it's nice for me to see other people speaking about it and running the numbers on it as well. And I think eventually more people do. I guess people are waking up to it because it's starting to move, but it's still so undervalued. You know, it's moving higher, but it's moving higher with an increase in revenues. And actually, the revenues have turned, the 7-day momentum in revenues has flipped positive. Actually, since the Uniswap launch, which is kind of funny. This is the last 7 days versus the prior 7 days, but if you look at the day versus 7 days ago, on a daily basis, it's flipped green. So these numbers are going in the right direction, I think. And this number it's not going above 1 really. Like for this to go above 1 today, that it would have to be what? That's like a 25% move, which would take this to, you know, close to all-time highs again. And that's where I think it should be at least. I mean, I think it should be way higher than that, but let's see. It's we've had a good period of consolidation. We've had a good rebound. It is one of the toughest things about these types of markets is every day there's a runner, right? Every day something's absolutely gunning higher, and you feel like chasing it. You feel like chasing it, and you know, I'm careful about saying this because sometimes it is the right trade when you're this early, but you run the risk of switching your position so much to chase the thing that's moving a lot higher that you get obsessed with owning the best performer of the day without realizing it. And sometimes when everything's going up and you're holding a coin that hasn't moved and something else is up 500%, you're like, fuck, I should have been in that, and you feel shit. And then you try and chase it because you think that has a momentum, and then guess what happens the next day? That coin is down 50%, and the thing that you sold is suddenly up 200%. So I think unless you're like really, really like at your desk all the time and on the screws in rotating, which some people have the time to be, some people don't. But even if you have the time to be, it's tough. But unless you're really, really on it, I just think it's a low EV way to trade. And the worst thing you can do, which is even worse than losing money in a bear market and even worse than bag holding all the way down, I think the worst thing you can do is lose money in a bull market. You don't want to lose money in a bull market. It's so easy to make money in a bull market. You just have to basically own almost anything that you can think of with a slight angle of common sense, and it goes higher, and then you just sell it. It's very easy to make money in a bull market. Now, lots of people might be sitting there thinking, well, these bull markets have gone by and I've never really made any money. And that's because your trading strategy, whether you realize it or don't realize it, lends towards chasing the best performing coin of the week, or even worse, on any given day. And that's where I think people fuck up, because if you're always trying to own the best performing coin, and if you just, without realizing it again, get obsessed by owning the best performer, then that changes. That coin by definition will change every day, every week, or whenever, and you'll just end up chopping yourself up over and over again by rotating, chasing, and then next thing you know, it's like, you just, if you just held on to the thing you originally had conviction on, you would have made loads of money, but you didn't. You were just chasing different things. So I really do think, some people do make money rotating, and they do very, very, very well, but it requires a lot of discipline, and mainly it requires a lot of time. You have to be at your desk the whole time. If you're up in Europe, very tough, because all this good shit happens overnight, right? You might wake up to missing a 5x, or you might wake up to your coin being down 70 or 80%. So you have to, unless you're really devoting almost 24/7 like time to it, it's hard to do that, I think. And I think the better way to trade, in my opinion, and how I feel like I've made good money as someone who doesn't have the time to trench 24/7, is find a narrative, find a coin that reflects that narrative, realize it can do well over a longer period of time, and just hold on to it as a conviction trade. And you'll have some days where it will underperform and do poorly, like we did last week with Ponds. You'll have some weeks where it will do well, like this week. You'll have some days where it feels like it's lagging, and then you'll have some days where it outperforms. But overall, if you look at this chart, yes, we've had this it's been volatile, but since here, or since whenever I bought it, it's generally been up. And my hope is that over time, it generally just keeps going up like that, but it might look a bit more like this. But the trend is still clearly higher, right? And I didn't think I would find something, and we've spoken about taking profits and all that kind of stuff, and I think I still will on this, but below a 1x multiple, I just don't think I think it's too cheap. It's not for me to take profits on yet. But I wasn't sure if I could find something where you could hold on to it. And when we were back down here, I was like, fuck, maybe I was wrong with that. But with this rebound, it's kind of reinforced that. If we didn't have this rebound, it really would have killed that thesis. But with this rebound, it has reinforced it. And it does feel like I see more and more people talking about the things that we were talking about. I see more and more people buying into the thesis. And that does mean that if Robinhood ecosystem grows, and if crypto continues to move higher and break out this range of Bitcoin, then I think this thing can really start moving. So there's a chance, I'm taking a risk by having something as a more of a core longer term position in this type of market, but there is a chance we can get this kind of move like that higher, and that will make me much more money than me trying to catch up and then flip the stockbrokers, and then when the release is out, flip back to ponds and then do it. Like, I just know I'm going to lose money doing that. I don't have the time to devote to it. I know I'm going to lose money doing that. There's no way I can make money doing that. Absolutely no way. So, so what we're going to do here, I'm still keeping an eye on still keeping an eye on other stuff, but pretty light risk, clean book right now. If we look at positions, I want to do something a bit more interesting with Rekt. We have some more buybacks to put in, hopefully this week when we get the WAP funds into crypto. But I think I'm just seeing all this interesting stuff like FWA and stockbrokers and some other stuff people are working on, and I think this is the age of experimentation in crypto, because if you're creative and you have a good idea with AI, you can now put it to work without paying a dev team hundreds of thousands of dollars and it taking months and months and months to put into practice. So, on the lines of RWAs, Uniswap V4 hooks, the way NFTs are being used now, have to be careful on the legal side of things. But I think there's something interesting to do, even on the art side, something interesting to do which can benefit Rekt. I've had a few ideas I've been brainstorming in the last few days. I think kind of narrowed down towards something which I think can be a good idea if we can build it. I'm just a little bit concerned on how difficult or easy it will be to build, but I think if it works, it'll be good. I've started working on it. Make PD5 great again. On PD5, so I know we were trying to get it onto OpenSea. I don't own the smart contract for it. It's owned by the Magic Eden team. And the dev team that did it for us, I think, no longer work there. So I'm just trying to find the right person who has the keys to that wallet so they can actually open it up so it can trade on OpenSea. So we're working on that. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as me just switching it on because we didn't deploy the contract. What was I going to say? But yeah, I think we'll do something interesting, I think, soon on it. We're working on it. I'm working on it. It's at the ideation stage right now. I did put in a little build on Claude today. I don't know. It's a bigger build, so I don't know if we will. If I'll be able to preview it today, but it will require a lot of testing. But if I can pull it off, I think it will be very cool. But yeah, so other than that, I sold Nebius puts. I covered those ahead of earnings. So the only puts I really have now is SanDisk. I have Micron puts, I guess, but apparently it's such a small position it doesn't show up on here. And I think I even sold those Micron, bought back those Micron puts actually. So yeah, do I have these still? Let me have a look. To restart my app. Yeah, just pretty light on risk. This IMD thing is interesting. It was up. I posted it on it in our on the pro section of our Discord, but I think some interesting stuff developing there. I don't know enough about it. It's just taking a punt on reading things online, which hence my small position. But no, I still have SanDisk and Micron. What else did I cover? Can't remember. Wow, it's crazy how. Let me see if I can pull this up. It's crazy how much the vol's been sapped out in these. Okay, this doesn't show my put trades. Maybe you can see it here. On Friday, I sold these SanDisk puts at 22, just under 22, and now it's trading at why is it not showing up here? Now they're trading at 4.7. It's pretty insane. Pretty big move. I don't know what's going on with this. Here we go. Yeah, now they're trading at 5. Yeah, average price 22, trading at 5 since Friday. That's a fucking massive move. That's a crazy drop in vol. I mean, I guess these were good sales, but it wasn't on huge size. Kind of makes you want to cover these positions. Like, what a big move lower in vol. Do I just keep riding it? I don't know how much more I can make on that. There isn't really much more money to be made. The premium I took in was 4.4k, and my unrealized P&L is 3.4k, so I can make another grand over the next 10 days. 10 days feels like a long time in this market. But yeah, what crazy move lower, move in vol. I don't know. Think about maybe I should just cover these, take the P&L. Cover these, take the P&L, and sell some puts further out. Yeah, I don't really know what else to speak about, really. Let's see if you guys have any questions or comments. I need to get these comments on screen, on stream, don't I? I keep forgetting to do that. Steno Nowcast has inflation coming in soft tomorrow. It's been pretty accurate. Yeah, the inflation, the prediction, I think, was 3.4% is the consensus. Let me see. Yeah, 3.4%. Last month's number was 3.5. You know, obviously, oil has been down for the last month, but the market knows that. This month-on-month number is interesting because that was negative last time. This is going to be an interesting one, actually. I do think it's a big print. It is a big print. There is a chance for... There's a chance for things to rally, I think, if the number is low. You know, payrolls is in the back of people's minds, but the net impact, if you take out the World Cup effects, was plus 100k. So if the payrolls number truly was very weak, and then this number came in very weak, then I think, you know, rate hike probabilities off the table. Rate hike odds, whatever. And then market rallies, but yeah, 50-50 chances. The market's pricing a 50-50 chance now for a hike in September. It's actually pretty meaty. 16th of September, so it's mid-Sep. Not too far away, a month away now. I think you could see a hike. I'm sort of in the camp that you could see a hike, and I kind of want to see a hike and then a nuke and then buy it. But what this inflation number ends up being is definitely going to have an impact on the market mood, almost for the rest of the month until the FOMC or until September payrolls, right? If this comes out hot, we'll probably sell off a bit. What I'm interested to see, the thing I'm interested in is if this comes out low. If it comes out low and we'll get an initial pump from the market, but does that rally get sustained? Does it get held if we see that? That's what I'm interested in. I just wonder if it's worth having a cheeky long into tomorrow. Because I think, I mean, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think they're fudging all these numbers. And they're just, I think it will just come out low. And I think stuff will rally. So I just wonder if I should add some risk. Let's see, where's this? We were talking yesterday about stuff that's near 200-day moving averages. Let's full chart this. Which this is, Nasdaq is far away from, but you know, some of this other shit. SanDisk, we get back into SanDisk again. Interesting, yeah. Again, this is not to express a long-term view or anything, but can you see a pop on a good inflation number? Probably, yeah. And then I think just sell into that pop. Again, this is just, I have no idea what the inflation number is, right? This is just gambling. It's just pure gambling. Going to have a think on what to do. Okay, so just let me see if I have any questions. Otherwise, I'll call it a stream. Hike seems, any ideas of special MT access for the original 250 members? Yeah, I would like to do something. Let's potentially that could be incorporated as part of what I have in mind. So let's see. Hike seems mispriced, especially if inflation comes in low. I don't know. I think I do believe it's 50-50 for a hike. I think a hike is in the cards, Like, sure, inflation could come in low, but you have had persistent high oil prices for most of this year, and it's still, like, it's down now, but it can go back up. Like, geopolitical risk can very easily escalate. I think this technological boom is causing like relatively high inflation across the board. I think in the US, cost of living is people feel it. Like I don't, you'd have to have many months of low inflation. Let me see if I can pull up the chart of low inflation for it to then 1 month doesn't move the needle, but it adds to the picture. And I think there's an element of the current, there's been so much talk on Kevin Walsh being too influenced by Trump and all that kind of stuff, right? Here, let's look at this chart here. And so I think they want to demonstrate some independence as well. And as a result, I just have a feeling you may see him wield the axe. And I think the market would be okay with it. I think the market would sell off initially, but then would bounce back. But, you look at this chart, right? You look at this bar chart, and it's starting to creep higher again. When we had that 4 print, it was nice to see that 3 handle print, but it is starting to creep up again this year. And I think people will not forget what happened here. What happened here when inflation started to go higher, no one did anything about it, and then we went all the way to 9%, and it was just a disaster. I think that's still fresh. I mean, this was only 4 years ago. It's fresh in people's memories. So this is, that print, that 4 handle print is the highest print we've seen since May 2023. That's the highest print we've seen, in over 3 years. So yes, a lower print will alleviate some concerns, but it's, while these numbers are in the mid to high threes and low fours, I think there are definitely some real concerns around this, I think. And I just, it depends what the number is. If it comes in at 3 or, below that, then sure, like that's a big miss. And that changes the narrative quite substantially. But if it's just 3.4 or even just 3.3, you're still in this kind of range here compared to this kind of range, right? And if we look back in 2020, like you had around this time, you had these two big numbers. You had 1.4, then it dropped to 1.2, 1.2, 1.2, 1.4 again, 1.7. Like it went to 5.4, then dropped, then back up again. So, it's something to keep an eye on. And I'm always bullish, and I always think these things get faded, but I just have my eye on it this time because here, these levels, the levels where I was like, okay, this is coming lower. I'm bullish here. The trajectory of this is lower, right? You could tell the trajectory of this was lower around this time. I remember it very clearly. You could see things were being solved and moving, but here, now that we're here, there's signs of the trajectory of it being more like this. And unless they act, you know what I mean? Like, unless they act, the Fed should have acted much sooner here. Unless they act, you run the risk of it becoming like that. And so I think they definitely don't want to make the same mistake as the previous Fed make. He also wants to show that he has independence from Trump and he's not just doing what Trump says. And so I think for me, these are two major points towards doing one hike this year, potentially even next month, because I actually kind of think the market needs it. And I think it would be a bullish thing. I think it would take away the uncertainty. If they do one hike, it feels like the market is pricing in one hike this year, and you have you had the one hike in September, and we sell off on it. I think we will bounce back very hard from it and continue to rally, and that will be a really good dip to buy. Now, it's not just the number that is important. It's also the press conference afterwards and what they say and what the outlook is and commentary and how they answer questions and all that. So that's very important too. But and that in some ways may govern the price action even more than the cut or hike. But it's going to be a very interesting FOMC. I think the move, I don't know where markets will be the day before or the week before, but I do think the move will be to be a little bit long into that FOMC, and then if there's a dip, buy a lot of it. But if they also don't hike at that FOMC, and we'll see what the economic data is until then you could have people might start thinking like, okay, maybe they're not going to do it anymore, and then we really start to rally. Also, don't forget midterms. Don't underplay that. Don't downplay that. Like, for me, it just feels like we have to rally in October from wherever we are. I think we're going to have a real October this year. And if I'm someone who's climbing markets, obviously I'm not. I don't have the ability to climb the global financial markets. But if I was someone who did have the ability to do it, and I wanted to make it look good for November, I would orchestrate a sell-off in around now or in September. I'd orchestrate a big sell-off, and then I would push the Fed, do some funky things, tell everyone to buy stocks, and then have it pump into October, and everyone feels good going into November midterms, right? So who knows if that's what really happens out there in the world? I don't really know, but I'm certainly a conspiracy theorist, and that's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. So this is clearly not financial advice. This is clearly not an investment thesis. You cannot have an investment thesis based on conspiracy theories. But I'm just literally pulling out random thoughts out of my arse. There's no rhyme or reason to this, but that's my prediction. If I had to make a prediction, then that's what I would predict happens. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, and if I'm right for the right reasons or wrong for the wrong reasons. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. I guess let's wrap it up there. CPI day tomorrow. we'll see how that goes. I'm going to consider a cheeky long into it, and then for a scalp, and then other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks everyone for tuning in.